Good afternoon or morning, depending on where you are in the world. EduNation members, Ray John with another video for you all, and to start off your week. Hope you all have had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend and an even greater start to your work week slash whatever you're doing during this week. Now then, I'd like to start this video off by saying that I'll be talking about a very heavy topic, very salient issue in the United States that's been a part of national discourse for the last 19 to 20 years. The issue of school shootings, mass shootings in general, but school shootings especially, as the trend decade per decade from the 1990s all the way until this decade, the 2010s. That trend has been on an uptick in terms of the occurrence. So, why this issue is so salient to me is, well, almost unspoken. It almost needs not to be spoken. Innocent people are losing their lives as a result of this preventable issue. And I say that this is preventable because there's much social investment that we can do for our people in our society that are committing these issues or potentially could commit these issues that we could potentially do that we're not doing at the moment and that we should start doing. Another reason why this is such a salient issue for me personally is because this has literally been going on my entire life. I was born on August 16th, 1999, about 4 months after the Columbine shooting, which took place on April 20th that year. And ever since then, I've seen and heard just discussions about school shootings. How exactly do we handle just people with mental issues in our schools and in our society? Whether it's the games, violent video games, whether it's the way people are raised, access to guns, the bullying situations in schools, etc., etc., etc. Many discussions, some productive, some counterintuitive. Wherever you fall on these discussions in terms of your opinion, that's you, and I respect that. But we've had a lot of discussion over the last 20 years with regards to these issues, and for the most part, really haven't seen much substantial progress being done to remediate the situation. As I alluded to just about a minute ago, this issue decade per decade, or even 5-year intervals, has been on an increase, especially from 2013 up until now. We had from Sandy Hook to the past 3 shootings that have been getting national attention just this past month between the Noblesville, Santa Fe, and some others that have been going on. Right now, although the majority of these shootings did not necessarily injure people, at the moment, in almost 6 months of 2018, we've already surpassed the total shootings in the 12 months of 2017. That's right, we have about 44 school shootings. And like I said, while the majority of them have not caused serious harm to people on the school campus or on the school grounds, that should not discount the fact that we've had 44 shootings happen on school grounds. So the purpose of students and teachers and staff going to these places is for the exchange of knowledge, exchange of ideas, the elevation and education of the next generation, not to go and live in fear and have uncertainties about whether or not they're going to be coming home to their parents, their families, their homes later on that night because of some fear of things turning into a shooting range, which that's not what a school is supposed to be. So it's an institution for learning. Now then, also, another big thing for me about this issue is the rhetoric around it, a rhetoric about handling it. As I mentioned earlier, the issues the causes that people have been linking to school shootings, they've pointed to violent video games, the lack of social connection in this world, especially over the last 8 to 10 years with the rise of smart devices, just relationships at home, social isolation, which kind of ties into the other 2 things I just mentioned with family issues, as well as the rise of smart devices, bullying in schools, and just an overall dissatisfaction with how society or themselves are going on. And the thing that I kind of find with all these issues in terms of the root causes, the things that they point to, is that the individuals may or may not. I don't know. I don't find any justifiable reason for why anybody would want to commit such atrocities. But at least for those that are doing this out of some type of angst towards society, mostly because they just don't feel like they're valued to society. They're not. They don't think they can make valued contributions. So, for whatever reason, they take out those frustrations with their guns and kill people. End of story. They think that's how they get their message out, and I think we as a society need to say, no, that is not how you get your message out. We need to get to these individuals and say, that's not how you express yourself. You need to express yourself more proactively, and we need to reach out to such individuals that we see the warning signs. We see that they're more socially isolated. We see the social ostracization. We see that they're more secluded, and we try to reach out to them and say, hey, you are valued. You have something to contribute. Your contribution does not need to be you gunning down people. That does not need to be the reason why you go into the history books. You can go into the history books for many other reasons, but that will not be the reason. And besides the rhetoric, a lot of the media makes it seem as though we're all polarized. Left, right, apolitical, centrist, libertarian, authoritarian, statist, you name it. It makes it seem as though the entire country is polarized about how we address the issue. Now, granted, some people view that the solution is arming teachers. Other people believe it's stricter gun regulations. Then there are people who agree with either campaign or neither campaigns that say we need to start within the schools in terms of guidance counselors, resource officers, whatnot, what have you. Just a diversity of solutions that people believe will be the end goal to achieve, to end school shootings. However, what we all need to pay attention and realize is that while these may be different solutions in terms of what they're doing, while they're trying to achieve the goal, they all come together for the same goal of ending school shootings and keeping our children and our staff and our teachers and our educators safe. That is the end goal. So now, while it seems as if everyone's polarized and everyone's making it seem as though it's a leftist issue or a right-wing issue or an apolitical issue, and those apolitical people need to start voting and should stop being apathetic. It's not that dichotomous. Rather, everybody is concerned with trying to save children and save educators and save people that are going to schools every single day. So we're all connected, and I believe that's the most important thing for us to pay attention to as we go into actually developing real solutions, proactive solutions that actually make the trend go down on a yearly basis until it's no longer an issue, rather than what we've been doing for the past decade. So, the one thing I wanted to say about this section right here is that I see this as an opportunity for all Americans, whether you're low income, high income, middle income, African American, Caucasian American, Latino, Asian American, whatever walk of life you're coming from. I see this as an opportunity for us to all come together and be united as one people, one nation, united under one purpose, and that is keeping people that are trying to get back to their families, get an education, teach the next generation, all those people that go to schools each and every day, to let them know that A, they're going to be safe, and B, they have the security to know that they're going to be returning to their homes. That's the opportunity that I believe we can get out of this. And why I believe that this is a golden opportunity to do so is everybody, like I said, everybody of all backgrounds has that goal in mind of keeping everyone safe. And I want to make this point very clear. There are 327.8 million people in this country. All of them. Except maybe people that have issues with society and maybe plotting to do some type of mass shooting. But that's a small minority. But the majority of almost 99.9% of that 327.8 million people that share the United States with the rest of you watching this video, they're all mourning. They're all mourning and distraught and upset about the occurrence of these issues. They're upset about the loss of life that have been occurring over the last 5 years, 10, 20 years in these mass shootings, these school shootings. They want to see this be put to an end. Nobody wants to see more children and more educators die. Everyone wants to see families remain reunited and never be torn apart, and never see children coming home from school, the survivors and the teachers, suffer from PTSD for years just because of seeing their classmates and seeing their colleagues die at the hands of some crazy lunatic that decided to go on a rampage. 3. Everyone is trying to come up with some type of solution that they believe will be the end solution, the one thing that is going to be what protects our children, what protects our educators, what protects everybody in the end, and stops shooters from killing people. Everyone has that goal in mind, and everyone wants to find that solution. Everyone's trying to educate themselves. Number 4, everybody wants to try and hold people accountable. No matter where they are in the political spectrum, they are trying to find someone that is accountable and take more action, substantial action. And they're talking to other people within their group to hold those people accountable and come up with substantial action that will lead to the implementation of the solutions they want to see to end the tragedies that have been happening over the last 20 years from being normalized in our society. Because we don't want the next generation. I have little siblings that are between the ages of 7 months and 6 years old, and I do not want their generation to be normalized with the fact that, oh yeah, no, that school over there in this state got shot up last week, this one got shot up 2 days ago, there's a shooting going on in this side of the country, and while I don't think that it's going to be that normalized, should we continue on the trend that we're on right now in terms of just thinking that we're polarized based on how the media reports the opinions of Americans, we should not allow for the normalization and the desensitization of these issues, because this is major. This is a major public health issue, and we need to invest in our young. Invest in our young now, in order to see an end to this issue. It's important. This is urgent, and this is urgent to me. And my 5th point: everybody finds this to be urgent. And we are all, in this time of grieving and mourning, by the end of it, we are all willing to work together, unite as a cohesive unit to stop school shootings from happening. Like I saw with the March for Our Lives back in March, there are people that were conservatives, people that were progressives, traditionalists, pro-life people, pro-choice. Everybody came together to that march to say, we don't want to see our children and our educators die to the hands of crazy gunslinging people. Not all gun owners are gunslinging. I just want to put that out there. I respect all gun owners, but that very small, minute minority of gun owners the people that just have access to guns, I should say, not even gun owners, that go out there and mow down people within schools and other public venues. We are uniting together, all people of that political spectrum, to see this be put to end and let our lawmakers know that we have had enough. And enough is enough, and we need to come up with real solutions that are going to be sustainable and long term. Now that's settled, and we've gotten past that hurdle, or at least in this discussion of what I say in terms of opportunities that could be gotten, opportunities that should be seen, and the ultimate opportunity of humanization of all people within this country. Here's what I'd like to see be done. I'd like to see nationwide implementation of red flag laws. Now then, I don't want for here's a disclaimer. I don't think that stricter gun regulations necessarily will be the solution, as I foresee that potentially becoming a situation like the war on drugs, where sure we have stricter regulations on drugs, but there's something called the underground economy, where people can access guns and other weapons from other sources outside of the country, within the country, that lawmakers may not be aware of within the community, that people can just get their hands on these guns, or people that literally can get their family members, their loved ones, to purchase weapons for them if they themselves are known to be unstable. They can somehow pressure their loved ones to go out and get guns for them, thus allowing them to commit these atrocities. That's why I think having red flag like laws would be smart to implement. Now, what are red flag laws? What are these things? I just went into the tangent of why I support them before I even explained them. My apologies. Red flag laws are basically laws that encourage people, whether it's family members or police officers, to intervene before something goes on by by attempting to gain a court order from state courts to prohibit certain individuals that they foresee as being potential risks to themselves and society from having any access to guns and other weapons for a temporary amount of time. Now then, there is also due process in this, where as the order is being filled out, the people that are labeled as at risk, they're able to state their cause, petition for themselves to not be on this little watch list, to not lose their opportunity to purchase their weapons if they think that they're being wronged. And now, if the judge, the state courts, they believe that this person is not a threat, they're able to purchase weapons in the future. If they're viewed as a threat, an order is placed that prohibits them from ordering weapons for a set amount of time. And whether or not that person is viewed as a special threat, the order may rise or it may fall, the order of time that they're prohibited from having that. And like I said, I support these things because it allows for people to be active, not passive, whenever they see their family members displaying some sketchy behavior. And while people may question and think, what defines sketchy behavior? Well, what if a person's just quiet? To go into what my state, my city, implemented as just general culture following 9/11. If you see something, say something. If something doesn't feel right, you have to go with your gut on certain things. If you see something, you say something. And when it comes to your family members, your loved ones, your friends, if you truly want to protect them, and you really want to do things in the best interest of them, and you think that their behavior is going on to a low downward trend, and they may commit suicide, they may do something more atrocious in terms of actions to other people within their community, you are doing more service to them by intervening, getting them some professional help with therapists, talking to them, giving them the space to air out their grievances, and taking their weapons away for a short amount of time, and letting them know that this is for them, letting them know that you care about them. That's the reason why you're doing it. They may be offended by the fact that you may think that they're at risk, but trust me, even if they're not at risk, you showing that you care, you taking the initiative to intervene, demonstrates that you value them, and that there are people in society that value them, and you just may have allowed them to humanize other people in our society and keep them from taking that next step in thought to end up rationalizing and snapping and either ending their lives or taking other people's lives. So I'm all for active intervention, and I'm all for building a culture in our society that encourages intervention rather than being more passive and stepping back when people seem to be a little deviant. No more. We cannot do that. Enough is enough. We've lost enough lives to these mass shooting and mass bombing issues, domestic terrorism, in a sense. The second thing I'd like to see be done is see more direct funding and investment be given to school guidance counselor departments within our schools. See, I believe that in terms of just the mental health capacities within our country right now among our students, and this isn't just me believing off of experience, since I was my senior year I was very stressed out. I was a very stressed out individual between college apps, listening to what other people were saying about me, but they weren't saying to me, but I knew what they were saying about me, and just getting into college. This new generation, Generation Z, millennials, both of those generations experienced multitudes upon multitudes of more stress during their school years than their predecessors, Gen X, Boomers, the Silent Gen, the the GIs. Multitudes of stress more than those previous generations when entering school, just because of the standards that we place on students nowadays. Standardized testing, which is going to be another topic of discussion at some point, is that the emphasis on standardized testing and performance on those. College being the one and only way to having a good career, and a whole list of other societal and familiar family pressures put upon the young, alongside the aspects of feeling socially isolated, as well as not a lack of real, deep, insightful, and just genuine conversation and interest from other human beings within their own age range, is contributing to this issue of just high anxiety, high stress, and a loss of just feeling like they're valued in society among our young. And we have a lot of experts that are discussing this stuff, but I believe that we need to hone in on that by investing in one of the resources that we already have in our schools, the guidance counselor offices, and taking their roles seriously, because they are professionals that have been trained to handle these issues, and we need to take their roles seriously, and they have the capabilities to intervene, reach out to students and say, hey, you are valued, vent to me, and we can walk through the solutions to your issues. We can work together. I care for you. I want to see you succeed, and you will succeed. If things will get better. This isn't cliche. Things will get better, because we need more of that being given to our young people, so that they know that they're valued. And like I said, as someone that went through a year of depression this past year, it makes a difference between life and death for the individual and anyone else in the society. And lastly, I believe that another solution, in case the whole idea of the rose bush with putting more funds into guidance counseling doesn't work, and we still have that small minority of students and individuals that are still very disgruntled about society, and they think that violence is going to be their way. Violence against other human beings, that is. Violence will be their solution, their way, their means of projecting their message to the world. Investing in school resource officers is what we need to do. We need first responders on the ground, at ground zero, the moment that an emergency arises. And in terms of having school resource officers that are properly trained, I believe that we need to hire veterans, war veterans, and invest in their training to become acclimated to everyday society, to work with our children, and be able to live among them. We're not necessarily going to have them just there with their guns cocked out, walking throughout the school. Where they're going to have their own offices where they're ready at the moment's notice to get up and defuse a situation. Because out of all the people in our society, war veterans who have seen combat, people nearly dying, people actually dying, and just other threats to human life, they're the ones that are best equipped to handle the moment that they see someone come in with a machine gun that can literally lay out hundreds of people, tens, hundreds, sometimes thousands of people with magazines. And if we have that line of defense there in the moment of violent crime, that can make a great difference to whether or not we could see children dying, educators dying, or seeing 1 or 2 casualties. And that's a great way to show that we care for our veterans, that we as a society truly care. And it's not just us honoring them on Memorial Day or Veterans Day. No, that we actually care for them and are thankful for the contributions that they make to our society throughout the world, the sacrifices that they make throughout the world. that we value them and we're thankful for that, and that we're willing to invest in their transition back into society, their ways of their transitioning back into employment so they're not underemployed, and we get to hire them not just in school resource committees but also in other fields within the school that they're trained in. So I believe that rather than having teachers be trained in gun to be trained in wielding guns, I think that it's much more productive to have school resource officers that are much more well equipped with combat to handle these issues. I believe that teachers should just be left to teach, and they shouldn't have another step in the process of becoming teachers unless they already have combat training. I don't think we should put an extra pressure on our teachers, because at the end of the day, they want to get back to their families, and they just want to teach because that's the reason why they became teachers. Now then, so I'd like to announce some calls to action. If any of this resonated with any of you, you can hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share this with a friend or two, and continue the conversation. That's one. Two. You can have these conversations with your loved ones. If you're feeling compelled, and that some other loved ones are feeling compelled, they're ready for discussion, they're ready to see action. Spark up a conversation about what you'd like to be seen done, and that can include me too. I welcome any type of feedback and any type of discussion from any of you in terms of what you'd like to see done. Whether you disagree with what I'd like to see be done, or whether you agree with me. This is the exchange of ideas, and I believe that we need to exchange ideas and have original thoughts in terms of how we solve this issue, because we need sustainable ideas, and we need to invest in our young, and we need to develop something fast that will be long-lasting and will actually prevent this issue from happening in the future. And also, the big one, contacting local, state, national representatives and telling them what you'd like to be seen done. Letting them know directly that you're sick of these events happening and you would like to see some change go on. Now, for example, for anybody that supports or is opposed to red flag laws, tell your representatives how you feel about those red flag laws and the implementation of them. Tell your state governments, your state legislatures, that you want to see red flag laws because of this, and you want to see them be implemented in this way. Or if you're opposed, and express your feelings in this way. But for those that are opposed, I'd just like to put a disclaimer out there. It's not going to be gun owners having their gun rights infringed upon by the federal government. This is only for people that are seen as a risk to society, because gun owners are respectable people. I believe that gun owners are respectable people, and there's much rational reason for why gun owners would own guns. Anybody who lives miles upon miles away from a police station, you need some peacekeepers to keep you safe. Rational reason. People that are opposed to people owning guns, and people that are somewhat opposed to the Second Amendment, it's for us that are living in cities where we have robust civil services. It's easy for us to oppose what states' writers and Second Amendment lovers are saying. However, we're not living in their situation, and we need to look at this situation in their shoes in order for us to come together. Humanization. And that's the one thing I want to leave this video off on. Humanize the other side. Listen to their perspectives. Look at, no matter how polarized, attacking, just great anger you see and anguish, and you see in comments on videos or on Facebook or Instagram posts, realize that all these people are hurting, and they too, like you, want to see a real solution be done. And if you realize that, you realize where they're coming from, we'll be that much closer to humanization, unity, and coming up with a better solution. A three-prong, like for me with my three-pronged idea, we'll be that much closer to developing a very broad solution to this issue, because that's what we need. And this is a long one, about 30 minutes long at this point. And for anyone that's still here, thank you for listening to me. I hope you all have a wonderful start to your week. And I hope to have inspired thoughts in terms of how we move on with this situation. As again, this is Rajon from EduNation. See you all.